Saya sering-sering bilang sama saya, sekarang kan banyak perusahaan masuk. Terimalah. Nah, kalau tamunya bagus, kita layani dengan baik. Kalau tamunya nggak bagus, ya kita suruh keluar gitulah. Ya.
Kalimantan Gold has taken a very different approach from most other extractive mining companies. It wasn't just a matter of making as much money as possible and then taking that off to some foreign country. They've always had an agenda to benefit the local area. A mining operation is really like a development organization. It brings in infrastructure on quite a large scale and social services like health and education, bringing overall development to quite a different level. At the same time, there's a potential for negative impact.
Yang pertama yang saya lihat itu adalah konflik lahan. Rendahnya pengakuan perusahaan terhadap kepemilikan lokal masyarakat setempat terhadap lahan. Kemudian yang kedua itu adalah kesempatan kerja. Jadi seringkali masyarakat lokal merasa mereka ditinggalkan, tidak diberi kesempatan yang sama dengan para pendatang dari luar untuk bekerja di perusahaan. Kemudian yang ketiga adalah pembagian hasil atau manfaat dari perusahaan itu ke masyarakat setempat.
Kita berharap bahwa masyarakat lokal itu, ya, masyarakat lokal pada umumnya itu juga harus penerima manfaat dari adanya pembangunan tadi. Misalnya ada investor itu mereka menjadi sebagai pemanfaat, bukan hanya sebagai penerima dampak.
Kalimantan Gold really wanted to get it right from the start.
Our early exploration in central Kalimantan started in the very early 80s. Being underfunded meant we didn't have helicopters, we didn't fly around and drop into the jungle all over the place. We did it on foot and by canoe. Lived in the local people's houses, we ate their food. We worked very closely with them because they had the local knowledge of the area. We came to develop a very strong appreciation for their cultural ways and the way they govern themselves. And equally, they'd come to understand that our intents were very sincere, very serious. A real friendship and a real relationship developed with these people. In 1996, we decided to formalize our collaborations. I asked them for a name, and they came up with the name Yayasan Tambuhak Sinta for the foundation we proclaimed.
When I came in 2003, I was involved in a global study on the impact of the mining industry. And one of the results of that study was that the number one obstacle to smooth development of a mine was the lack of good governance. Governance really is the way society functions, how the key players interact with one another, the interaction between government and communities, the interaction between, say, a mining company with communities and government, and the quality of this will really determine how well development takes place in the future. The consequence of that was that we focused YTS on how do we improve the quality of governance in the area where we're working. And by default, how do we improve the quality of life, more equitable development, and also alleviate poverty.
Dengan adanya YTS masuk di dalam, membangkitkan peran serta masyarakat tadi. Kalau dia sudah mulai berperan serta, tidak lagi yayasan yang mengingatkan pemerintah, masyarakat. Kami senang berarti tangan kami yang ada di sana diperkuat dalam artian pemahaman.
One of our main focus in YTS is on planning, in helping each community make its own development plan.
Whenever we first enter a new village, we start with a community-led analysis and planning process that takes about 1 week to achieve. And in that time, the village gets to analyze its own needs and come up with a village development plan that best suits those needs. And in this way, we get to learn about the reality in the village, the way that people live. And we stay with them, we sleep on their floor, we eat their food, and we share our culture and their culture. In this way, we really hope to value the customs and traditions that already exist, not to change the culture, especially the agricultural practices, but to in fact build on existing practices and improve them.
And then to help those communities link their own plan to the formal government planning mechanism, which is called Musrenbang.
Tujuan proses musrenbang adalah sebenarnya forum untuk memfasilitasi masyarakat untuk menyampaikan aspirasi mereka, untuk merencanakan pembangunan di wilayah mereka, agar mereka dapat mengakses layanan publik dari pemerintah.
One of YTS's major support components is to help improve livelihoods in the community.
Sekarang kami mau berangkat ke Tumbang Miri untuk workshop pelatihan ikan, babi, dan karet. Dan kebetulan di sana juga kampung saya di Tumbang Korik.
Nama saya Eko, saya di bagian media. Saya suka membuat ilustrasi karena ini adalah salah satu cara yang mudah untuk mengkomunikasikan pesan yang disampaikan dalam sebuah handout pelatihan kepada masyarakat di desa.
Our livelihoods program is multifaceted. It's a sustainable and participatory approach that we take. We try to build up the local production capacity in the village according to the village's own interests and needs.
YTS also provides a fund to each community that they can manage themselves, and they can use that money to bring in outside expertise to help them improve their livelihood activities.
This pond is now producing catfish for local needs, and it is one example of 30 ponds in this community which were established last year in 2011 as a result of Bapak Lim's training program. This year we're going to focus on building river cages in freshwater.
Kalau dulu masyarakat itu belum pernah ada pembinaan. Tinggal cara bertani itu berdasarkan tradisi yang ditinggalkan nenek moyang itu saja. Jadi kita itu niru-niru cara yang lama terus. Sekarang kan terbuka, ada jalan baru yang mungkin ada perubahan juga.
One of the main challenges for us was that there wasn't a tradition of collective action in the community, apart from things like festivals, funerals, etc. But, in terms of working together to plan for the future of the community, there just was no tradition of doing that.
Harapan saya dari dulu sampai sekarang nih, keinginan saya itu maupun yang laki-laki, yang perempuan, yang muda, yang tua itu harus bisa bersatu, harus bisa melakukan bagaimana secara berkelompok di desa.
Small-scale mining is a major source of livelihoods in central Kalimantan. One of our other programs is to work with small-scale miners and prevent the release of mercury into the environment.
This is a traditional activity, but unfortunately there are health impacts from the use of mercury. We're trying to address the mercury issue through a widespread awareness program throughout central Kalimantan, where we provide media materials and direct counseling. In addition to this, we provide equipment, stainless steel retorts that are able to recycle 99% of the mercury and prevent it from being emitted into the environment. Currently, we've already managed to distribute hundreds of these retorts, and in fact, they are now capturing more than 20 tons of mercury per year, mercury that all would otherwise have been emitted directly into the environment.
It's very unusual for a junior exploration company like Kalimantan Gold to invest in social development through an agency like YTS, because the risk of exploration at this stage is very high. It may come to nothing. But the reason for doing this is to establish a setting that will be conducive for the development of a future mine.
Karena merubah perilaku tidak semudah membalik telapak tangan.
It does take years. I mean, it takes a whole changing of corporate thinking on one hand, and on the other hand, to bring local people along in a manner that they're able to understand and able to work with and feel the benefit of.
Mari kita saling berbimbing tangan, saling dukung-mendukung, saling pengertian, supaya kita sama kerjasama dan saling menguntungkan. Jangan salah satu pihak dirugikan, salah satu pihak diuntungkan. Itu aja.